Today's adventure begins right here on the Island of Eleuthera, located in the Bahamas. It's not looking to be a very good beach day as we have a red flag out today, as it is very windy out here on this beach. But unfortunately, there will be no snorkeling for me unless the weather dramatically changes in the next few hours. But that's all good. We got other things we can do today. Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Hitchhiking Yeti here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. We're going to make the best of this beach day. I love this little area down here on Eleuthera. It's very pretty. A lot of nature. A lot of curly-tailed lizards you will find on this little stretch of paradise down here in the Bahamas. And they got some really big crabs. It's just fascinating. As we was on a tram making our way over here to this beach, they were crabs, like sometimes you could see 30 crabs on the road, on some of the side roads. It was absolutely crazy. Did not have my camera out at that time, and I really apologize for that. But hopefully on our little nature walk we're about to take, we're going to take a little walk about south of here, maybe a quarter mile down to the old historic lighthouse location. And that's how this Lighthouse Point gets its name. I was here about 10 months ago, right when this area first opened up to the public. We came here, did like a full tour of this area, and now I'm back 10 months later to see how it's changed and see if there have been any improvements. Because one thing that really stood out in my first vlog when I was here at Lighthouse Point was the flies. When it become dinner time or chow time for some of us, yeah, the flies really came out. And the reason that was happening, we heard from locals, was because of all the new construction, the unearthing, all the landscaping that was going on here on this beach. As you can see behind me, palm trees everywhere. A lot of vegetation was planted around some of these structures, bathrooms, things like that. And that kind of disturbed the flies. It disturbed everybody's habitat. So the flies were out in droves, especially at supper time. That was when you mainly seen them. So we're going to pay close attention to that day and see how that has changed over the last 10 months. All right, that's enough of the intro. Little lengthy intro, I apologize. Thank you for hanging out with me. Let's go ahead and get started with a little exploration here at Lighthouse Point. We're going to make the best of this windy day, I think. Let's do it. All right, so to start off our little tour today, right here is the Goombay Cultural Center tram stop. This is actually where you will exit the tram and catch the tram to go back to your ship after you arrive. So the first thing we're going to come take a look at is this cool little tree right here. This is called the Gathering Tree. I think this is an interesting little way to welcome people here to the area, the Gathering Tree. I just like the name of that. But it is a very interesting looking tree if you just check that out. Notice it has these little like buoys hanging from the limbs, and they're all like Disney characters. Like that blue one right there, I would say is probably Donald Duck. Look at this little yellow one here, maybe like a little Pluto going on here. And without a doubt that there is the big cheese himself, Mickey Mouse's little buoy hanging out of the tree. And of course they have a merchandise store right here with all their shirts and things like that on the inside. They have some photo opportunities. Right there is a Mickey Mouse kind of bohemian style photo op. And that's the only one they had here last time I was here. This time they have several others. Is right here is a Goofy location. You can get your picture made with like the Goofy designs, bohemian design. And this here is Treasures of Eleuthera. They have a lot of like woven bags and hats, straw hats and things like that in there. And then right here is a Minnie Mouse type of bohemian design you can have your picture made with. And then there's one other right over here to the right we go look at. And if you have a port adventure or you want to rent bicycles, right here, Rocky Point Bicycle Rentals is where you will come. And this is also, it looks to be the check-in location for your port adventure. If you had some other kind of excursion booked before you arrive, this is where the check-in location would be. And then right off to the left of that, right here is another picture location, little opportunity to get your photo made in front of the Donald Duck bohemian designed. All right, so that is just a quick look at kind of the epicenter, if you will, of Lookout Cay. So now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty And I'm not going to do like a whole entire walkthrough of this place. I did that last year. I will definitely put a link down in the description below of my 2 videos I made last year when I was here that you can check out. But now I want to make my way down through the nature walk down to Lighthouse Point itself. Some beautiful views down there, beautiful like limestone cliffs. Really looking forward to that. I want to go down there and see how things have changed. I can tell you one thing has changed just by being here. Things have really grown. Everything looks a little bit thicker than it used to. It was like you could see through all this vegetation and palms and stuff a little bit more. Last time I was here, you could tell everything was new and it was kind of, everything was like not sproutlings, but you know, not very big. And now things are really filling in nicely. And I tell you one thing, the wind has definitely blew the clouds out of here, man, because it's just some blue skies up there now. Really looking forward to this walk. The wind is keeping it kind of cool. Should be a fun little walk. Get some nice scenery, some beautiful views of the ocean once we get down there to the lighthouse area. And check out those big old cliffs, man. They look amazing. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I made my way over here. They actually have a directory out here. And yeah, you can see the "You Are Here" sign. And we're going to make our way down this little yellow path here. It's not really yellow, but you know what I mean. All the way down there to that little emblem. That is where the lighthouse is, at the very end of the walkway. And we might be able to go a little bit further past that because it looks like they have an extra little space where you can walk a little bit more out onto the point, maybe take some pictures. So we're going to see how this all works out today and see how things have changed since we was here last time. So it looks pretty jungly out through there. That looks so cool with all those palm trees. And I just wanted to real quick, I'm going to do a little zoom here. If you can look out there, you can see the beautiful blue Atlantic Ocean. You see those cliffs. That's kind of the direction we're going today. So let's go ahead and get to it. That looks epic. All right, right here is where the nature trail actually starts. It is not paved. It's still kind of a sandy, gravelly surface. But it is a nice little walk. Out through here, we definitely want to keep our eyes peeled for any kind of curly-tailed lizards or land crabs. And if you see a land crab, you'll know it because they are beautiful. They are really big, probably about as big as your fist. And they're normally colored with red, orange, or yellow. Very, very awesome looking creatures. All right, so as we make our way down this lonely trail, I do want to show you something that I do not remember last time I was here. But they have these little stations set up now. And they have water, cold water, in a cooler right here with some little cups where you can stay hydrated on your little nature walk. I think that's a really nice touch. All right, so the trail splits right here. If you just pay attention to the signs, it will actually tell you which way to the lighthouse. So this here is the historic lighthouse path right up through there for my wife. But there's several other turns you could make right here. So as long as you go straight and you keep left on this location and follow the sign, you will have no issues making your way up to the lighthouse because it is really not far at all from this point. I was just telling my wife, I'm like, ain't this so funny? Like the ride over here on the tram, they were crabs everywhere. And now we're on the nature trail and we ain't seen nothing. Not one animal. You know, like the thing that you would like to see is those curly-tailed lizards and the land crabs. But there's one other one that I forgot to mention that's probably kind of important, especially if you have a superstition. They have these money moth bats, and they're supposed to be really big. And if one of those moths actually lands on you, you will become very wealthy. So if I'm vlogging today and all of a sudden you see me just haul off and just dive into the woods, I might have found a nest of them. All right, I've made it down here at the end of the world, if you will, here on the point. Just look at that beautiful view right there. Oh my goodness, is that not gorgeous? I love the ocean. It doesn't matter if I'm in the Bahamas or if I'm in Carolina Beach, North Carolina. It doesn't matter. I am just drawn to the beach. But this right here is the old lighthouse area. As you can see, some of the ruins from this lighthouse that was built, I think, around 1901. It's been here for well over 100 years now. And right up there is a very modern looking light. I guess this thing is still kind of operational, maybe. It would have to be, I would think. Right here they have this little informational placard here, Historic Lighthouse. This lighthouse, which gives Lighthouse Point its name, was built in 1901 to warn ships of hazardous conditions here in the area. All that exists today of the original lighthouse are the ruins of its structures. But it does continue to operate in the form of a revolving light beacon. So that's what we're seeing, powered by solar energy and maintained by the maritime arm of National Security Forces of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas that stands next to the previous lighthouse structure. So that would be this, because that is definitely a more modern light up there on the top. So this is still functional, but obviously the old ruins area here is just what's left of the old 1901 structure. And you would definitely need it, because if you look out here and you see all these rock cliffs and stuff, I know when we was on the ship this morning, you could see a lot of shallows out on the end of this point. A lot of rock fixtures. You can see waves breaking out there in the distance because it is so shallow. There is quite a big reef that kind of surrounds this part of Eleuthera, this point of the island. So it would be very handy to have some kind of lighthouse beacon to warn ships of this. Even though I bet modern GPS, like nautical equipment, will probably tell you anyway. But still, it's always a good idea to have a weather eye on the horizon and look for lights. All right, so that is our little walk down here to the lighthouse. Pretty awesome. So now we're going to head back down the trail a little piece. And I'm going to take you down the hill onto the beach itself and take a look at these awesome cliffs, these big old like limestone cliffs that they have down below us. That's the safest way to go do it. Back in the day, some people, when we was here last time, they would actually go back there and actually walk over the rope, which I don't really suggest you do that. I don't know how safe that is being on these cliffs, man. It could be really dangerous because it is, I think they're about 60 foot tall, some of these cliffs, so it's very dangerous. I do not say do that, that's for sure. I would just take the extra time to walk back. You got to go back this way anyhow to get back to the main hub, and just be safe about it. You're on vacation, right? And this is such a beautiful walk, and it's not that long. And just the views down here are just gorgeous. The water, the lighthouse, I just love it. Me and my wife took quite a few pictures down here because nobody's down here. I mean, we was down here at this lighthouse and they wasn't a soul. There's so many people that will come here on their vacation and they don't even make their way to the lighthouse. I don't even know if they realize the lighthouse is down here or whatever, but this is one of the hidden gems. Not really hidden, but to some people it's very hidden because there's nobody down here. There was like, we seen, I think 4 other people the whole time we was down here today. So yeah, not a lot of people come to the lighthouse, and it's not that far. It's very beautiful. So unfortunately, I still have not seen any wildlife. All right, so I've made my way down here. Right up there is the split off where we came up earlier from the main hub, and it actually connects and goes up that hill, and that's where you will see the sign that will take you to the lighthouse. This right here is just another part of the nature trail right here. If you just take a left instead of the right, we have us another water station right here to stay hydrated. And the beach is just right on the other side of these palms and these kind of thicket of bushes and trees right here. But this here is the trail that will take you down to Lighthouse Beach, where we can see those really cool limestone cliffs. And you get a little taste of it as we walk down this pathway. And right here is some of the cliffs, but the really, really tall ones are actually out here on the beach itself. All right, my friends, this here is the end of the pathway. It just spills out onto the beach. And look at all of the seaweed that is washed up on this beach. I have seen a ton of seaweed on this cruise that I'm on. Just when we're sailing around, I always like to look out from the patio out in the waters, and you look down and you just see a lot of seaweed. And man, very evident that there is a ton of seaweed. It wasn't just me thinking, there's a lot of seaweed out there, but look at all the seaweed that has washed up onto the beach here at Lookout Beach. I mean, this is amazing. That is thick. All right, I've made my way down here a little bit closer to these beautiful cliffs. And wow, somebody has inscribed their name up there. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but it looks like Anna maybe climbed up there. I don't know. Not me. No, thank you. There's some other people that put their names down here toward the bottom on the limestone, but look at those cliffs down through there. Is that not freaking awesome? That is so cool. And you can walk up there to the top. There is some people up there taking selfies and photos. And I do not see any signs warning you otherwise down here on this area to actually walk up the trail. So we might venture up there and take some photos. I'm not going to get close to the edge or anything like that, but I do think we're going to take a little walk up through there, and as long as there's no keep out signs. All right, we are making it through this little jungle trek out here on this point. This is so cool. I had to pull my hat down a little bit more because that wind, man, was starting to create a little bit of lift. But this is unbelievable. Look how pretty this is out here. Oh my goodness, this is so awesome. Last time we came, we did not do this. They didn't have, I don't know, they had stuff up wouldn't allow you, but this time, for whatever reason, you're able to walk this little pathway and check this view out. Look at that. Is that not gorgeous? Man, we are off the beaten path now. And right off to my right, you can see the lighthouse up there. That's where we was earlier. Look at that. That is so gorgeous. See the beautiful Disney fantasy off in the distance. And that watercolor is just breathtaking. All right, let's continue on. All right, we're about to make it to the top of the mountain. Yeah, this is cool, man. All right, here goes your reveal. We are at the mountaintop of the point. Look at that. That there is awesome. What an adventure today. Look at that view. That is just breathtaking. And you can see there's another little beach right down below. We're going to walk down there and check that out here momentarily. But what an awesome view of Lookout Cay. See the reefs I was talking about earlier. From this vantage point, you can really see the barrier reef that kind of extends in pieces kind of along the beach. And that's why the snorkeling here is really, really cool. Really awesome. I wish the waves wasn't, you know, so choppy and kind of bumpy today. It definitely stirs up the ocean floor and, you know, kind of, it hurts your visibility a little bit, but my goodness, I would love to get out there and go beneath the waves, but I don't think it's going to happen today. We have to wait to another trip here. Last time I was here in that vlog, you can definitely see how pretty it is beneath the water because I actually did a spot of diving that day. All right, I think now it's time to make our way back down this way a little bit and off to the left and go check out that other little secret beach hidden away tucked down in there. I made it down here to this other little beach, this little hidden away spot. Kind of turn around and see where I came from as my wife has decided to follow me as there's other people up there. They're going to walk up to the point itself. Yeah, look at this. Cool. Man, this is awesome. Look at this old carcass of wood. Look like some old dead wood, dry wood up here on the side of the limestone cliff. Definitely been some big waves hitting because the sand is pretty wet. Look at that. Right there's the Disney fantasy off in the distance. And guess what I've not seen the whole time on this nature trail? Guess. No crabs. No lizards. Absolutely nothing. But I have got to be blessed to see some very beautiful views. So I'm really stoked about that nonetheless. Speaking of beautiful views, just let me pan around See some people over there taking some photos. My wife, she's ready for us to take our photos, so I got to wrap this up. And then we're going to make our way back. And probably it's almost getting close to lunchtime by now. Might be about time to go get a little food, get some eats. All right, got my family pictures in. These little tide pools up here. How cool is that, man? This is wild, walking on a area that looks like this. It almost looks otherworldly, like you're on the moon or something. All these big craters. Just think of the years it took of the ocean just pounding this point to make this limestone look like this. What an awesome adventure this has been today. All right, my friends, I'm going to wrap it up now. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today here at Lookout Cay, Lighthouse Point. Awesome place to come do a little exploring and have a little fun, kind of get off the beaten path today and look at some different things. That's what we did last time. I'm all done. Thank you so much, my friends. I am the Hitchhiking Yeti, and I will see you in my next adventure. Y'all stay safe, and I hope to see you all again soon. And if you subscribe to the channel, I bet you I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for your support. Until next time, I'm all done. And this was amazing today. And look at that guy, man. He just got on in the ocean. He said, heck it, I'm going to do some swimming. He got hot. He went for it. I might end up in the water today. Even though this area over here looks a little bit better to get in the water because you don't have all the waves and the wind that you have on the other side of the beach, on the east side of the beach. Yeah, it's a little bit calmer over here. All right, I'm done. Let's get on back, get some grub, get a little food.